If you think of the strangest strategies we've ever seen in StarCraft 2, we probably think of the Bronze League heroes showing us ideas that we couldn't create in our wildest dreams. But every now and again, the pros will bring out a strategy that boggles our mind and the mind of their opponents. This video will give you some great ideas to try out on the ladder. Now this isn't an exhaustive list, and while a lot of them will be from Protoss players, be sure to stick around because I made sure to include some from every race. Now let's start with the elephant in the room. Haas is simply too crazy for this video. If he wasn't doing something strange, that itself would be strange. So I'll just include one, back from when he was a little less known and managed to take down a fan favourite. Brood War legend J-Dong was hoping to make a deep run in WCS NA, but unfortunately Haas brought the most crazy cannon rush. Now usually we're looking for 3 pylon, maybe 4 pylon walls behind or to the side of a natural hatchery. But by starting such an absurdly long wall at the front, Haas forces a huge reaction out of J-Dong. This isn't Legacy of the Void where you can just build Ravagers to break the cannons. You needed to stop it early. But just the boldness of this wall, committing over 500 resources in just pylons, traps J-Dong in his own base, and the follow-up creeping of cannons meant that Haas would forever be known as one of the craziest players. Mr. Bitter described it the best.
What?
He's gonna make sure nothing
What?
is ever...
What the? What?
Now, if you have no fear, no shame, and probably play Protoss, then you can do things to your opponent that will give them nightmares. So we will continue with a player who seems to always find himself on the receiving end of these strategies. When Solar met Deer in SSL, he knew something weird was happening, opening Overlord speed and even sneaking a Zergling right into Deer's base. But it turns out the best place to hide a Dark Shrine is actually in your opponent's base, right next to their creep. Deer set this up wonderfully by sending out 2 probes early and hiding a pylon from the start. With no lair and snipes on the Spore Crawlers, the Dark Templar forced Solar to tap out. At least Solar found some humour in it. Now sometimes the best strategy is to not even hide the proxy build-in, just straight up build it in their vision. Our next 2 players brought genius proxy strategies to the biggest stage. Let's start with SOS. He builds a Nexus in clear vision of Bunny in the GSL. Now against worst opponents, they might have instantly panicked and tried to destroy it with SCVs, but Bunny took a calm and methodical approach to dealing with it. When SOS followed up with 2 Adepts recalled right into the mineral line, Bunny once again took very little damage. He thought he was safe, in the clear, and all he had to do was to destroy the Nexus for the win. But SOS had other plans, building a probe from the Nexus and even hiding a pylon. What was this for? Once again, DTs. Without scans saved up, the quick DTs right in Bunny's face capitalized on the delays his Nexus recall strategy caused, and once again gave the Protoss player the win. Much like SOS, Australia has also done some crazy strategies, and no one would have guessed that a proxy Nexus would have worked in PvP. Going up against Trap at IEM Katowice, Australia decides to drop a proxy Nexus in his opponent's base after scouting a Nexus first. He then adds a Forge and begins a cannon rush with recalled Zealots and Probes. Honestly, this was just a crazy reaction, and it is amazing that it worked. But what is really funny is that this was the final dagger that knocked Trap out of IEM Katowice. Now, a lot of these are going to be Protoss players, so here is one for the Terran players. For some strange reason, the Liquid players Snoot and Bunny decided to play a best of 69, and there were some very memorable games from this series. In one game, they were playing a custom map with unique objectives for victory. The condition relevant to us: you lose the game if you got supply blocked for more than 20 seconds. Bunny, the genius he was, realized that if he just messed up Vikings, then Snoot would be unable to protect his overlords and unable to get out of the supply block. Everything was poised for perfection. Bunny was about to move out and launch the crippling blow, but it turns out he didn't read the condition properly. For you see, it actually expires at the 9-minute mark. He waited just a minute too long and unfortunately lost the game. Look, sometimes you come up with the most genius strategy and it still fails. But there is one way to guarantee victory, and that is by abusing an undiscovered feature on a new map. Cannon rushes have definitely become less popular versus Zerg over the past year, but Parting figured out an unintended feature of a new map before the rest of the competition and abused it on the highest stage. This untested map actually made it into the GSL season, and it allowed for a single pylon, that's right, a single pylon, to fully block the natural ramp. Parting's cannon rush could not be denied, and we find Solar in another ridiculous situation. With his proxy location fully secured, and Solar's base split in 2, the follow-up Void Rays were too much for him to handle. Solar would go on to lose this series, and the ensuing controversy would engulf the community for weeks. Was what Parting did right? Now here is one for the Zerg players. Going back to my favourite map Overgrowth and Heart of the Swarm, we have a deliciously devious hatchery block strategy. True gained a reputation in later years for having some crazy strategies, but it turns out he was always doing it. Oh, and also this game was played on StarCraft's birthday, so all the workers have hats. Yay! Anyway, In this game, he opens up with a hatch block, into Evo block, into another hatch block, into proxy hatchery in the main, into trapping his Zerglings behind a spine crawler, and creeping his opponent's base. Look, I'm not even sure if he got ahead initially from this, but as more and more queens and Zerglings were continuously produced, True got an insurmountable lead. He then transitioned into mass Zerglings and Mutalisks and won the game. Sometimes you also need your opponent to help you out with making your strategy a success, and Myung-Sik definitely helped in this case. Staying with Heart of the Swarm, and also 2014, we have Grubby versus Daishi. Now this game has stuck fondly in my memory for the last 8 years. Daishi opens up with a double factory Hellion, both with reactors, and oh, even a hidden CC. Grubby perfectly reacts to this, scouting the hidden CC, walling his natural, but Daishi doubles down on this amazing strategy, going up to 5 factory reactor Hellion. He even repairs them.
But look at that! Look at that! It's a lot of Hellions!
Man, I love Apollo. Anyway, it turns out that when Hellions and Colossus and Stalkers meet in the middle of the field, Hellions win. Wow. Now, if you watched this far into the video, I'm sure you have your own top picks for the strangest strategies you've ever seen. So please let me know in the comment section down below, because I would be so interested and love to make a follow-up video. If you like the people who were featured in this video, you won't be surprised to hear that some of them featured in my GOAT ranking video, so be sure to check that out here.